listening tour by South Burnett Regional Council. Before we start, I want to introduce all of us. My name's Ros Froloff, I'm Division 1 and my portfolio is Water and Wastewater and Sport and Rec. Division 2, Spud Jones, Gavin, his sport portfolio is Roads and Drainage. Division 3, Danita Potter, her portfolio is Community and Health Services and the Arts. Division 4 is Councillor Terry Flyfresser. He is Property and Planning. Division 5 is Councillor Kathy Duff and also Deputy Mayor of NRM, Parks and Indigenous Affairs. Division 6 is Ros Height.
Lucky last.
She's Finance, ICT and Human Resources. And our Mayor, Keith Campbell, is Economic Development, Governments and Public Relations, and I'll hand the floor over to Keith.
Okay, thank you very much, Ros, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out this evening. This is what we're calling our listening tour. It's an opportunity to come out and listen to some of the questions and comments that you may have to make about the functions and the operations of the South Burnett Regional Council. The way we are doing this is each of the councillors in turn will give an outline as to their portfolio area, and then if you feel that you'd like to ask a specific question about their particular area, then you are certainly entitled to do so. We commenced the listening tours in Blackbutt last week, and we had probably, well, in fact I think we had more people in attendance in Blackbutt last Wednesday night than we have in attendance here, but there may be other people who come along tonight. The meeting for tonight has been well advertised, as last Wednesday night in Blackbutt it wasn't quite as well advertised. There was a bit of a glitch in the system, and but nonetheless we had a really good meeting and the opportunity to talk with people and for them to share their particular views about matters. As Councillor Froloff has indicated, my portfolio area is economic development, governance and communications. And in relation to economic development, this is something that's paramount as far as the region is concerned. At least this is the view that my council and I hold. We want to be able to bring into the region the opportunity of new businesses that's job creating and that will pertain to the creation of jobs for our kids and work for people who might move into the area, and also work for those who are unemployed. You might have to excuse a couple of us tonight. We've got the dreaded lurgy or whatever.
Oh crap, touched him.
And no, worse than that.
No. Oh, you're in the disease now. I can cut it off if you like.
So, you may have heard of our Economic Development Unit, the South Burnett Directions. South Burnett Directions is an enterprise that goes about the task of trying to improve our overall health services within the area, improve the heavy vehicle access and telecommunications. We all talk about black spots with telecommunications within the region. That's one of the charters that we try and take care of as well, to try and lobby government to ensure that we get our share of the dollars to fix up the black spot situations. And we've also played a major role in finding a new operator for the community hospital. Until my throat settles down, I might ask Councillor Hyde if she would like to give her address.
Surrounded by
You're in a bad spot.
Toss the coin to get the funeral director and the doctor. Children's about ready to go, one's on the way.
What's the cheapest?
They're both really too expensive these days.
Okay, I'm Ros Height. My division is Division 6, which, if you look at the South Burnett, basically the left-hand side is my division, so a lot of the rural areas, and the South Burnett is approximately 8,000 square kilometres, and about 4,000 square kilometres of that is in Division 6, so very much the rural areas. As you may be aware that this year, so I don't want to take your thunder, Spud, but we're spending more money on maintaining roads rather than doing capital works, and I, for one, am certainly really pleased about that because my region has an awful lot of the unsealed roads. So I'm looking forward to, you know, obviously it'll take a fair bit of time. They can't get round the roads all in one go, but I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more work done on the rural roads, which will be great. My portfolio is finance, HR and ICT. ICT is obviously computers. The council's invested fairly heavily in a good computer system in recent years, which has been expensive, but of course long-term, you know, has savings in staff time if it's a more efficient system. And it puts all the activities of council on one software program. So that has been quite difficult to implement, but now it's going well. HR, obviously, you know, council's very governed by the awards that it has, its agreements. There is some talk at local government level that they want to get one award for all of Queensland, but that is taking time to process. I think it's already been 4 or 5 years in the planning and still hasn't been signed off, but that may or may not happen at some stage in the future. In the meantime, we obviously work within the agreements that we have with the staff. And finance is obviously really important because we want to try and keep downward pressure on rates increases. This area doesn't have an increasing population. A lot of the areas on the coast, Ipswich, places like that, they've got a growing rate base, which we would love to have, because if we could have more ratepayers coming each year, obviously there's more rates income coming in. Unfortunately, at this stage, you know, we're not growing particularly fast, so we don't have that increased income coming to share the rates load over. So it's always really hard to meet ratepayers' expectations, with things which are expensive when we don't have too much money to spare. So. And it became very clear at the local government elections in March that people, you know, want us to sort of be looking at efficiencies. So that's one of the things that we are looking at closely. And you'll be aware that we are actually moving to half-yearly rates, and the rates notice comes out, the first one for this year, the 23rd of August. So we have been publicising that because it will be a big jump up and we need people to be aware of that. But you know, it's going to be difficult for many people, which is why we've been suggesting that people set up payment plans where they pay, you know, each week or each fortnight to make it easier for themselves. But we do recognise that the half-yearly jump up is going to be difficult, which is why we're offering 2 months in which to pay to still get the very generous 10% discount. So please spread the word among your friends so that people are well aware of that, because we obviously don't want to give people, what do they call it, bill shock when you get a big bill. And over the coming months and years, we are keen to try and look at ways where we can make efficiencies. There's always that mentality of we all want efficiencies, but preferably not in my backyard. So it is something we need to look at across the board and all be aware of where we can try and save money. I think that's enough for me. Anything else you want me to add?
No, thank you very much, Ros.
And sorry, can I just add, I do need to leave early, so I will have to leave at about 6:10.
Okay, thank you. If there are any questions about the various portfolio areas as the councillors address you, then by all means ask your question. Okay, maybe we'll have Councillor Fleischfresser next. We'll mix it up a little this week.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. It's wonderful to be here in Nanango. I'd just like to also say this evening, tomorrow we say goodbye to a wonderful long-standing resident of Nanango, Barry Blunt. I've known Barry most of my life and worked closely with him in a lot of construction over the years. And Barry was the man that built this hall that we're sitting in this evening. We'll be sadly missed in this community. Okay, my portfolio is planning, development and property. So One of the things that council have done poorly in the last is tell you about what is contained in our jobs and what our roles and what we have to get our heads around. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on some of the stuff that we have to maintain. The strategic role of the planning department is to provide effective management and maintenance to council's property and buildings for community and council's use, the management of land tenure and equipment sales, building capital projects and administration projects. We have to maintain 7 administration buildings, 1 IT building, 10 halls owned and managed by council, 4 halls owned by council and managed by community committees, 2 art galleries, 4 museums, 6 libraries, 3 visitor information centre, 1 energy centre, 1 private hospital, 5 works depots including 3 workshops and 1 fabrication section. We also maintain and are involved with 5 showground facilities, 5 sports grounds, 1 race course, 1 police citizen youth club, 8 tennis courts, 2 netball courts, 3 outdoor swimming pools, 1 indoor aquatic centre and hydrotherapy pool, 1 indoor learner swim pool and 2 outdoor swimming pools. Now on top of that, the towns and centres across the South Burnett that we handle is 14. We have 3 airports, we have 14 cemeteries and we have 4 dams. We mow in the vicinity of 450 million square metres of grass in these areas on many occasions throughout the year. We pay in excess of $1.5 million a year in electricity bills. And on top of that, we have 9 sewage treatment plants, 8 water treatment plants, 28 reservoirs, 28 pumping stations, 30 sewage pump stations, and approximately 280 kilometres of sewage pipelines. So it's a huge task to maintain all this infrastructure. We're getting to a point with some of the infrastructure, if we look at, for argument's sake, your netball courts here in Nanango at the moment, we've had one quotation of $230,000 to repair 2 courts. The real cost for doing the 4 courts is nearly $500,000, $485,000 bucks. Now to find $230,000 just to repair your court is an enormous task. Council's contributed some money. I know the Sport and Rec are contributing some, and I know that various other businesses in your area are also supporting it. But still a long way short of the money that it needs just to do 1 set of netball courts. So it's an enormous task. We're going to have to look at places across the board in the near future of which ones we are going to maintain and which ones we may have to let fall by the wayside. The Rural Committee have come to us in the last couple of weeks to say, can we take on the rural sports grounds? Mainly because they can't afford their public liability anymore, and it's $6,000 a year just on that one asset, and this is one of their greatest costs. To all of the halls, we pay at least $1,000 a year towards their public liability insurances. So when you consider we have to juggle that, plus all the other infrastructure, plus all the other work, plus try to keep the rates at a sustainable pace, I think our budget this year, a 2.5% increase rise across the South Burnett, has been a very responsible budget. Bear in mind that councils are not like businesses. We don't make profits. We handle money to provide services. You will never make money out of sale yards, town halls, cemeteries, waste management plants. They will all cost the ratepayer money down the track. So just bear in mind, when you're asking for something additional, or some pet project that you have in your town or your community, try to give us some support on how we're going to find the money to do that. Because as I said, in the near future, we're going to have to rationalise some of this stuff and we won't be able to maintain it all for the future. With the development portfolio, we have at least 4 very, very interesting big projects on the cards at the moment. The one that we can speak freely about tonight is the wind farm. I can't see why that one isn't an up and running project. That'll be a wonderful project, $350 million worth of infrastructure over 2 years, with construction and 200 to 300 men working or employees for 2 years, and then 35 full-time jobs that will come out of that project. It's clean and green. It's a long way from any house. If you look at the setbacks from other wind farms, the closest house that comes to one of these turbines is 1.5 kilometres. So our role is to look at any development opportunity that comes into the South Burnett, to assess it correctly. Not all development is good development. Good development staged in the right and built in the right way and financed in the correct manner is the development we need. If it has the added advantage of value adding to their production, that's the type of thing we need. We want growth and employment for you and your people, young people. Mr. Mayor, that's about it.
Thank you very much, Terry. Are there any questions of Terry's? Yes, Barry.
With regards to your buildings that you're maintaining, council has merged and we still have our council officers here.
Yeah.
Is it feasible that we could have one central office? I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, Barry, look, ideally, I mean, in a straight-out business world, that would be an option. They would scrap half of them straight away. They would have one central business office. But, you know, it's a service to the community. If we took one away, which one are we going to take away? Which swimming pool are we going to close?
That's why I asked, is it feasible?
Yeah, which tennis court are we going to ask? If we did that, we'd be so unpopular that it just wouldn't happen. So, you know, until it gets to a point where it's not sustainable, we're close to it. But I think with good management, we can. I mean, I think with some of the buildings we've inherited have great, you know, white ant problems. There's been no pest treatment run over the years and things like that. So we're going to have to assess those very, very carefully and perhaps not rebuild or replace those buildings. But it's a good question and it's something we have to juggle with all the time.
Communities get very comfortable, you know, with the facilities that are in their region. And as Terry says, that if we were a business that was trying to streamline costs wherever you possibly could do, you know, you would wipe out a whole range of facilities. But that is unfair on the people who live within the communities, who've invested themselves personally in you know, making contributions toward ensuring that they had you know, a whole range of facilities within their particular area. So I think probably it is a reality that we as council acknowledge, but we also acknowledge the reality that, and as it has been said, try closing down a swimming pool in any location. You know, the smaller communities of Proston and Blackbutt, you know, we may think, well, that's the easy fix to start saving some dollars. But people in Blackbutt and people in Proston, their view is that they don't get a lot more or a lot of other services, and that's something that they really want to keep and hold on to, and I support that. I support that. I think it's probably generations up the track before there'll be any whole-scale rationalisation of the duplication. Council amalgamation created duplication because each of the smaller councils had a swimming pool, they had dining halls, they had all this equipment and facilities, and you know, we've tried our hardest to preserve and maintain each of them. Sorry, Terry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just adding towards the swimming pools. To give you an indication, swimming pools are probably the most costly thing to maintain. The expense that goes into running swimming pools is enormous. If you look at, say, the Kingaroy Town Pool, I haven't got your figures for your pool, but if you look at the Kingaroy Town Pool, for every person, this is quite aside from the actual income we get out of the pool. That's the people paying the admission through the gate. For every person who has a swim in that pool, it costs around $11 per person to run that pool with chlorine, electricity, filtration systems and all that sort of stuff. If you look at the little Proston pool, which doesn't have the numbers of people using it, it jumps up to about $127 per person to swim in that pool. Every time a person has to swim in that pool, that's the sort of cost it costs to run those things. So they're enormous, they eat an enormous amount of council revenue.
Because the other example I've used with swimming pools before is we have 6 swimming pools and we have about 30,000 residents. If you go down to Logan Regional Council, they have 6 swimming pools too. They have 450,000 people. So the cost of the swimming pool is obviously shared across a lot more people. But just going back to Barry's question about the facilities, one of the things, which I'm not quite sure when it happened, but for example, Blackbutt, Proston and Mergen, the library and the office is combined, so the staff can do library books plus you can pay your rates. So that's one way that we've been able to rationalise. Whether that can happen in other areas, I'm not sure, but that's the sort of things we can do without reducing services but save money, which is the sort of things we need to look at.
Of course, the other thing you've got to look at, if you were to close the Nanango Administration Centre here, what does that building do? It just sits there idle.
Absolutely.
And it still costs money, council money. We all know that a building that is being used is slightly cheaper to maintain than one sitting idle.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, you're in a catch-22 situation.
Yep.
You'd like to save dollars, but you've also got to keep people happy. And you don't want a building sitting going to ruin, which is an eyesore to the town.
That's right, yes. Yep. That's right. Yep.
Amongst the figures you were quoting there before, you sort of said something about we have 700 million gazillion metres of grass to cut. So what
About
kind
45 million square metres of grass we mow in year in parks, road verges, road reserves, drainage systems like through your football fields and things like that.
Yep.
It's a massive job. You know, some of those get done twice a year, some of them get done 8 times a year. You've got the current ones into town. And that's also the medium strips in the town being, you know...
How much does a grass cutting plant cost per hour?
well, I wouldn't have a clue.
What does it cost council per hour?
I have no idea. I've just got the figures in what we maintain. I could...
I would suggest that council's costs would probably be double what privatising the maintenance of grass would cost.
We've looked at some exercises like that, yes, we have, in privatising, but what I think where we run into trouble there, you gain extraordinary penalty rates on weekends and out of hours. If you're going to work them 24 hours around the clock, I don't think you'll come out much ahead.
Some of the outlying areas out where I live, we do use contractors in the far reaches of the region.
Particularly after, you know, when it's rained and all of a sudden the sides of roads are all 3 foot high, obviously we haven't got enough workforce, so often contractors, and often that's farmers,
Yep,
isn't it?
that's right.
Who then slash the sides of the road.
The Deputy Mayor and I were at a function recently where Tom Tate, the Mayor of the Gold Coast, spoke, and when he became the Mayor and began to take a look at the budget and how he could trim costs, they worked on the basis of their lawn grass cutting being done every 3 weeks, and he thought, oh well, I'll make some savings here and I'll stretch it out to every 4 weeks. Well, there was such a great hue and cry from the residents of the Gold Coast that he soon learned that that wasn't the way to win by saving some dollars, because it raised the ire of the residents of the Gold Coast. So, you know, sometimes the opportunity for a quick save, brings about a very negative reaction from the ratepayers.
But there are, just following on from that, from your question, sir, there are some areas, like in my portfolio with the weeds section, we use all contractors because we're finding it more cost effective. So we've looked in some areas and it is more cost effective. So all weed spraying pretty much is done by contractors.
Okay. Well, now we'll have Danita, Councillor Danita Potter, and Danita is the portfolio holder for Community and Health Services and the Arts. So thank you, Danita.
Hi everyone. I'm Division 3 Councillor, which is the other half of Kingaroy. So if you draw an imaginary line down Harley Street in Kingaroy, I'm the half that includes the council chambers, goes right out, includes Goodger, goes across to Coonabarabran, a little bit of Bowie and sort of back in to Kingaroy again. My portfolio, the community, covers all the community assistance grants, the Mayor's Community Benefit Fund program, and also the Healthy Communities program that we have. With the arts, we cover the RIDF program and the funding for the arts, the people that put their applications in for the RIDF funding. We also cover the art development and also council cultural events if we have any of those running at the time. Part of the customer service side of things is the customer service centres. And I also cover the libraries, so anything that goes on in the libraries, you know, your first fives and rhyme times and, you know, your computer classes that you have here and things like that, that's under my portfolio also. With the health services, we've got the health services nuisance control, which means animals, your barking dogs and things like that. We also cover environmental protection and policing of the licensing and compliance of things like tattoo parlours and things like that. So basically that's what I cover, everything to do with the health and that side of things.
Thank you, Danita. Any particular questions that you might like to ask to Danita? Okay, well then maybe we can move down to, how would you like to speak next, Ross? And then we'll deal with have Councillor Jones. So, Councillor Froller? Yes, she can wrap up.
As I said, I'm from this division, Division 1, and my portfolio is water and wastewater, waste management and sport and rec. As I'm aware that Nanango's water doesn't taste that terrific, and that the council has intentions of rectifying that. Nanango's water comes from three bores located in the alluvial aquifers between Barker's Creek and Nanango Creek. The water is safe to drink, but it tastes salty and holds a strong chlorine taste. This is because of the way the bore water is. Council in the next 3 to 4 years wants to rectify that by putting a pipeline from Kingaroy to Nanango. And that's why they've made the Kingaroy water treatment plant big enough to also service Nanango. They've looked into many options, and one option was to put a reservoir in Nanango, but with the upkeep and the general maintenance, all that would be around $15 million. The cheapest option that they've come up with is to put a pipeline from Tarong using the Goodenbrook water and the Kingaroy straight through to Nanango. And that's about 22 k's considering, and it's the significantly cheaper option and the long-term benefit cost of the upkeep, which will all be done in Kingaroy. Waste management. We've got recycling bins and that out 4 of the major reuse tips, which is Kingaroy, Nanango, Mergen and Wando. And that we do have green waste in Nanango and Kingaroy that they get shredded, and any residents are welcome to go into the tip, pick it up and take it for free. And that Mergen and Wando, they burn it due to the weeds and all that are in there to try and keep it down, and also the amount of ground that they need to supply this. Any questions?
Would people not pay for green waste to take home to put on their garden?
No, it's given back to the residents for free. The green waste that is composted out Kingaroy and Nanango, that is for residents to take for free.
Is it not worth putting a charge on it? Would it work?
No, at present it costs about $10 to load a ute out at Nanango, and very few residents take advantage of it.
Okay.
Kingaroy's got none less than all of them. If we went further and refined it better, you could do it, but it's the cost, it's to rationalise the expense that you have to outlay to redo it all again and sift all the metal, like you'd have to have metal to take out the nails that come in timber and that sort of stuff, and the plastics and all that sort of stuff. It just becomes unaffordable. So you can mulch it as cheaply as we can now at the moment and give it away. We won't go down the track of going any further at that particular time.
There could be all sorts and all sundry.
That is given away except for the loading charge.
Yeah, which is.
We don't have a loading charge in Kingaroy.
No, but we have a loading charge for green waste at Nanango. If you wish to, the green waste is free,
Yeah.
right? But if you wish to have it loaded, which nobody's ever going to take a list of the shovel, it's $10 or $15 or something.
Yeah, that must be a contract with the contractor on the
Must
site
be,
because
yeah.
Kingaroy has from 10 till 11 on Mondays every week. You can be loaded there for free of charge.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just
And
saying.
currently at the moment there's no waste available, no green waste available in Kingaroy because it's not. We'll have more back on track by September.
Yeah, no, the situation in Nanango is that we have a green waste file that is free for residents.
Yeah.
Right, but the contractor out there charges you to load it, therefore nobody ever takes advantage of it. So what happens is it stockpiles and it stockpiles and it stockpiles until it becomes a problem. Last time it became a problem, it caught fire. It caught fire for 2 or 3 weeks. The contractor, who may be a very good earth mover or something like that, perhaps is not the best dump operator and had no idea on how to put the fire out. It actually involved calling in the Environmental Protection Agency and a whole lot of bloody drama and numerous complaints from residents before any control was actually made on that fire. And a similar situation can well occur again at any time. I actually wonder that council does not utilise some of that green waste itself on vegetation projects.
Well, we do. Kingaroy does, and
yeah, I'm just saying what goes on out there. I don't know if you know that dump out there actually has a huge vermin problem on it. There are pigs and wild dogs in the police paddock behind there. You know, evidence of where they've been on the ground. I don't think the dump has any vermin control as such on it.
Councillor Froelich, we might be able to just make a note.
I actually go a little bit further while I'm talking about the dump. That dump is actually operated. It's run. It's run by a permit from an EPA. The EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, issues a permit on dumps, from what I understand, and that operator must be. Right, what is described in the permit of operation for that dump and what actually happens is worlds apart. It's a long way apart. I'd also suggest that dump out there is probably pretty close to its use by date. I'd also suggest that dump out there has got some height problems, got a drainage problem. We filled it in too much. We've already gone too far with it. You know, it's supposed to be a slit trench system. I would suggest that the size of those trenches are far outside what is a slit. It's supposed to have wind blowing catchment areas, fencing around it, all this sort of thing. It's all written in the permit that does not comply with. Now look, I understand that the contractor out there, I understand that he's in a rural area, he's in a regional area. You know, these blokes in the EPA, they sit there and they make up these rules and regulations, and then this bloke's got no chance at all of complying with all of it. Nobody does. There's no operator in any regional dump that can comply with all the bloody, you know, sullage, drainage waters, this, that and the other thing. But in the year 2016, we could probably do a bit better.
It is one though that it is controlled by the EPA, and I know of situations where if there are incidences that occur that are raised by EPA, then it's up to councils. It's council's responsibility to correct them. So if there are issues out at the Nanango site that are challenging for EPA, I'm sure that you know, we will get to, if we haven't already been informed about them, we will certainly get to hear about them, because EPA keep a very solid watch on those types of issues. Yeah.
I think for Ross,
Thank you.
assist Ross in the future, There is an enormous, that is probably one of the single biggest costs to a rural council, is how do we handle waste for the future. Now, if we have to go to, when I was in council 2008, I had the environment and waste portfolio, and we were then working on a regional waste management scheme, so that we had the life of each of the dumps, the landfills in the South Burnett, documented, so that we knew which was going to close first and which had the longest life and everything else. And I think it ended up being Cherbourg being the longest lifespan in anything there. But the scale of economy to build a super dump, which we'll have to look at one day, I think will have to be looked at in a wide bay context, not just South Burnett Regional Council, because the cost is enormous. When we start to talk about all the environmental stuff that we have to do with the landfill, that's when you're going to see some huge costs come into the thing. Because I mean, we just can't keep doing things what we're doing. We're trying to. I mean, before we had a compactor in the Kingaroy dump, we had 7 years to go. We've still got another 8 to 10 years to go. Lifespan it because we're doing it differently. When I got to council in 2000, we had $2 million worth of waste tyres sitting, and the council was still taking bloody waste tyres. We had to commit to $40,000 a year for so many years to get rid of the damn things. EPR were that close to taking our licence off us. Yeah. So they're massive things. So what they were doing, we took them to Swanbank and they were shredding them into their landfills down there. Because you can't compact tyres. That's why they chip them. And technology is coming along quickly enough now, so that they're using all sorts of rubber into recycle stuff. And as the technology goes, becomes more on hand, we'll be able to, take advantage of that. But the real fear for us as a regional council to invest in some of that technology now, the sooner you invest in and pay it off, there's new technology on your heels, so you can't afford to spend too much money on, the real high-class technology stuff, because you've got to then get into critical mass and volume to make it payable. Yep.
Keith, are any of our dumps around the Shire, are they fenced? What's the go with them?
This man just said no for the local one.
Well, that's Nanango. What about the rest of the Shire?
Kingaroy, the tip in Kingaroy is fenced. The one in Mergen is well, they have perimeter fences around it. And Proston is fenced. Yeah.
Blackbutt would be.
One of the great problems we had in Kingaroy landfill was plastic bags and flying, and we end up putting like a tennis court netting fence around it to grab some of that stuff, and that worked to a degree. But when you get really windy days, it's just very different. The secret is to compact it as quick as it's dropped. Yeah. And once you compact it as quick as you can, then you're right to go. But you have to have a pretty big compactor.
When wheelie bins were coming in, and that was a council meeting some years ago, they said that the tip here had 25 more years to go.
Yes.
And I added the 20 and I didn't add the other 5. I won't be here. And that was sometime in the last 16 years. I don't know exactly what year, but that's what they said back then.
Yes, that's right. Well, they do have that. They have given a life term for each of the tips in the area. When amalgamation occurred, Nanango had a recycling. You had a split bin, didn't you?
When they first came in, yes.
When they first came in.
And they've gone backwards on that one too, that's a shame.
Yeah, well, and it was determined that J.J. Richards were able to provide a waste collection service at a rate cheaper than what the council could, and so we moved to J.J. Richards and just had a waste collection pickup. But we have taken a look at the cost to introduce recycling, and in fact there was a survey done in 2011, and whilst the greater majority of people wanted to have a recycling collection service, there were not sufficient people who were prepared to pay the additional price, and it will probably come about because the issue of recycling, a curbside recycling will be back on the agenda sometime during this 4-year term to take a look at the possibility of introducing it, because there are many people who do want to see curbside recycling, but there were a greater number of people who, as much as they would like to have it, they weren't prepared to pay the extra dollars. So it boiled down to a case of the dollars and cents won out at the end, but it will quite probably get to a stage where because of the fill in each of the tips around the region, that type of recycling is going to have to be introduced in any case. So it's probably not a case of if, it's more likely to be a case of when. But as I say, it certainly will be addressed in more detail as this 4-year term progresses.
In real terms, council, we should mandate it to say, we're going to go to a full recycling program so we can have 2 bins, because if we want to make our landfills last longer into the future, we should be doing it right now, not waiting for time down the track. But yeah, it's an unpopular decision, and you've got to wait till people are ready to accept it.
Lady wants to ask a bit. The lady behind you, Barry, sorry.
So I read that the Sherburg recycling facility is being upgraded and that they're...
Yeah, they're recycling, sorry?
Yeah,
They're recycling a lot of cardboard at the moment. And I think JJ's is taking some of their cardboard to them, and I think a few others are. They've got a small compactor there, which I think they're doing about 14 tonne of cardboard per week, which is great. It's taking it out of the stream, and it's, there's an operator in Kingaroy that doesn't do it too successfully. We could do it a lot better, but the difficulty when you're recycling anything, whether it be glass, paper, plastic, anything like, it's actually finding the market for it. It's almost, if it was cost negative, we'd be doing a lot more of it, but it's not. Sometimes it costs you. Yeah. Glass fluctuates dramatically up and down.
But that system in Sherburg is one that we have a level of a working connection with Sherburg, and as their plant becomes more developed, it is likely that they'll have a call on material that we can supply from our region here, and should that occur, we'll be more than happy to try and find a way around it. In fact, going back probably 18 months, 2 years ago, there was a proposal that came forward basically from the Indigenous Council in regard to us putting sort of skip bins out at each of the transfer stations throughout the region at a cost to us of something like, I think it was $100,000, was it, Councillor Duff?
It was, yeah.
And at that point of time, we didn't feel that we had the $100,000 to spare to invest in that. In fact, we put a grant application in to try and attract the dollars to put these skip bins in which we would have put the materials that the Sherburg Council would have been happy to take as far as recycling is concerned. So it's not off the agenda as far as Sherburg is concerned, but it hasn't advanced to any great extent at this time.
Can I take it it's a fairly small setup at the moment?
It is a small setup, and they are at capacity. They're at capacity, so they can't take any more unless they get some more funding and upgrade it. Yes.
Yeah. But if you look at the technologies around the world, the most advanced waste management system in the world is in Canada. Canada does not have a landfill, full stop, right across Canada. Every bit of waste in Canada is transported to the US to huge...
Oh, that's good, to put it over the border.
They do, yeah. It's a huge... and they burn a lot of theirs, and they extract the methane and things like that. In the cities, in the big cities in Canada, in Montreal, Quebec and those sorts of places, they don't even have bin collections. What they have is on the street corner of, say, a multi-storey building, they have a big, like a condom, but it's about 25 feet high, and it sits into a platform in the ground, and everybody uses their waste there. If you go to Germany, so if we want to recycle a packet of cigarettes, so you take the cardboard out, you take the silver paper out of the cardboard packet, put it in that bin, you put a bin there, with the same with the bottle tops, you take bottles in one, plastic in another, if you had recycle our milk bottles, there are 9 different sorts of plastic and meat bottles for a start in this country. So the sorting program is the most costly part of sorting anyway. So, yep.
With the recycling, is there not facilities at the Nanango dump out here to recycle stuff now in big bins?
I believe so.
Steel alloy they do.
Yeah. Well, what do they recycle?
Scrap metal and
Scrap
waste,
metal, waste,
oil,
alloy,
recycling.
oil.
Yep.
What
In
about
King
your
Roy,
plastics and your-
in King Roy, there's cardboard, there's paints, and there's also another section of the King Roy tip. You know, material that may have a second life or another life, and then people can come along and they can help themselves to stuff that isn't necessarily thrown
We
away.
also
But
have that in
Caloundra
Nanango
set
too.
up something like that, and they had the green waste, and they had the bottles here, and the there, and you could go and buy things there. It probably cost a lot of money to set up, but it
does.
cuts
It's,
down on it all going
it's
into land, and
brilliant.
we're running out of, unless we fill in the holes where the mining used to be,
You
where are
get
we
back
going to put it all?
Calandra's brilliant actually, the way they did
Yeah,
it.
well, when council some years ago was talking about it, I wrote to council and said, why don't you go and have a look at what Calandra's doing? Oh, I never heard anything back. It's many years ago now, but I just think there's ideas out there that don't get heard or don't get implemented, and it just adds to your frustration. And then you hear, oh, well, we're running out of places to dump all this stuff.
With your
You know?
recycling, I think there's an opportunity getting back to your private contractors. If the council was to approach some private contractors around the place and we were to put some recycling bins and make it accessible to in all our major dumps and make some sort of a deal with a private contractor that he can come and take that material away free of charge, so it wouldn't cost the council anything, and because people aren't going to pay the extra cost for your recycling bins, and I'd be against the footpath recycling when, like, you're supposed to put certain stuff out when you say, oh, put all your rubbish out in the footpath. Well, as you're well aware of, you just see all the wrong stuff. It's just never used for the way it's supposed to be used, the footpath recycling. Then it ends up costing the council an absolute mozza to get rid of the stuff that's dumped there, and you've got to get rid of it because the residents won't get rid of it. But I think there's an opportunity using those private contractors. There's some in Toowoomba and that sort of stuff. If we put bins and give the residents here all through the Shire the opportunity to recycle at the dumps and make, well, at least approach them and see if they would be interested, and they take it away at their, and whatever they get out of it's theirs. That's something we might look at down the track.
I've made a note of that, so, and Ross, you might
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Question in front of people.
Put that down.
Sorry, Graham, did you want to ask a question?
Just regarding dumps, Cumbia dump has 10-foot fence around it,
Yes.
electronic gate, security cameras,
Yes.
6-digit PIN code to get in and out.
Yep.
Why?
It was done for memory.
I'll tell you what, don't Keith. I did it.
You did it, did you? Right, okay, way go
I
then.
did it because of the scavenging for a start, and the public
Yeah.
liability.
Yep.
Okay, if somebody went in there and the whole reason why we changed Kingroy landfill and Cumbia, we closed 5 landfills around the south end, Kingroy Shire, that particular was Kingroy Shire at that time. It was the scavenging. People were driving there with their car, people were unloading their car before they got there. They ended up having arguments and fights, and people were abusing it. And it became, people were there, were trying to tip bins in, and people were walking behind, thinking it's just public liability. So we closed it, made it secure, and had open days, certain hours. They don't have to be open 7 days a week, 24/7. We work it so it's affordable to do it that way, and the same with Kingroy landfill. It's about stopping scavengers and the safety aspect of the whole thing.
Okay, alrighty. Now we're going to move on to Councillor Jones, Councillor Jones is in charge of roads and infrastructure. So over to you, Councillor Jones.
Thanks, Mayor. As Keith said, Gavin Jones, Councillor for Division 2, which takes in the southern side of Nanango, goes back around 7 Mile Diggins, down around the Weir into Teelar, Taromeo, Burnett and Blackbutt, and Nakoo, Googa, comes back in around Yarraman and then takes in Brooklands, Bunya Mountains and heading back in towards Kingaroy and Maidenwell as well. So with the roads, I got a phone call from the Mayor asking me if I was interested in taking on the portfolio, and I said to him yes I would be, on the proviso that he granted me 3 conditions, and those conditions were that I asked for were the road levy stays at $200, it's collected and used for the roads only, and it stays off the CPI, the general rates stays away from the CPI increase, and that's what he said would happen, and that's what has happened in the budget. You can read it, it's there. As a council, we went in with, we weren't under any false pretences or anything like that. We knew what the general public wanted right through the Shire with the roads. It was a major concern. Everyone that's sitting here at the table got hounded by the roads. It was our major priority. So we went in as a council, took some jobs that were penciled in the next 12 months for capital works, and we didn't think as a whole that they were important or necessary to be done just now. So we haven't taken them off the list. We put them back, deferred them for probably 12 months, possibly 2 years, but within 12 months anyway. They haven't been taken off the register, they're still there, but we used the money because the main concern through the whole Shire was rural roads. So we've made it a priority. We went in and done our budget. We thought we just about had it done. Come out all happy. We created a new grader crew to simply concentrate on rural roads right through the Shire, fully funded for 12 months. And the federal government, we finished that on Wednesday. The federal government sent an email out to us on Friday afternoon saying we've just taken $1.62 million off your budget. So then we had to go back in the following week and redo and reshuffle and all the rest of it. And we maintained the program that we wanted to do, and moving forward, I'm well aware, I've driven on the roads, there is some major concerns, but in fairness to these guys that are out on the road working and us as a new council, we're certainly moving forward with that. The guys are well aware now that the work that they have been doing in the past, these quick fixes and patch-up jobs and all that, aren't acceptable, and they are changing their work ethic and methods, and I will say that right now they are doing it, and I'm quite happy right from our general manager and supervisors and everything else in the roads. They are trying and they will improve. It's only been a short time since, well, the 1st of July is when the money came available and the new budget started, and these guys have certainly changed their methods, and I will be very, very surprised if the general public don't change their opinion of the council in the next 2 years. And we've pretty much secured this grader crew, funded fully for the next 2 years. The federal government say they've taken the 1.6 off us this year, but they'll be giving that back to us next year, plus what they were already granted this. So we should have a double whammy next year. So that's how we're going to maintain, and hopefully 2 years worth of grader crew and improvements on the road. So that's where we're at the minute. There's a lot of work to be done. We're well aware of that, and I will sit here and back these fellas up, the workers and the people out on the ground and the internal staff. They are making the effort, and I will argue, if you can just be a little bit patient, it's going to take a little bit of time to get the transition in place and moving forward so that they do the roads better. The roads that they've already addressed, I've had numerous, it's quite pleasant actually, I've had a couple of negative ones, but I've had a hell of a lot of positive talk and phone calls and congratulatory work on what the roads that they have done since the 1st of July.
So have you bought a new grader?
We've got a grader already. We had a grader and it's getting utilised properly now.
The issue during the election campaign was one whereby roads and the way in which roads were being attended to, probably became the dominant issue. and what Councillor Jones is saying, we have certainly, this council has changed its approach to the way in which the road, both maintenance and capital project, is being handled. If you have driven on any of the rural roads or a number of the rural roads, and we have plenty of them, throughout the region, we've got something like 1,800 kilometres of dirt road, and is it something like 3,000 kilometres of bitumen seal road. So there's a lot of roads, and some of them are in a very pitiful state. During the campaign, it wasn't hard to identify with people when they were making comments about their roads. Now, there's only a certain amount of dollars that people are prepared to pay. The retention of the road levy, every dollar of that is invested in road maintenance. Without it, we simply would not be able to cover the expanse of road that we need to. And I made that point quite clear in any of the speeches and addresses that I made to the South Burnett Regional electorate at the time. We continue to get shortchanged, you might say, by federal governments in relation to monies that we're able to apply toward maintenance. There's a grant that's provided by the federal government to regional councils called the Federal Assistance Grant. We had all but completed our budget for this year when we were notified by way of an email communication to say that we would be losing another $150,000 from that particular grant. So that grant, the federal assistance grant, was supposed to be frozen for 3 years. So one would have reasonably expected that if it was frozen, we should have collected the same amount of money in this budget period as we did in the previous year. But no, it was chopped down again by $150,000. So it wasn't frozen; it was minus. There were further dollars taken.
It's defrosting fast.
It was defrosting fast. Now, if you were to ask me to explain in absolute detail how the federal assistance grant works, I'm sorry, I cannot oblige, because it appears to be a very complicated process which tends to work on the basis of road lengths, population, economic, sustainability of regions, a very, very complex formula to work out, which regional councils receive the level of money that they do. It's hard to rationalise at times why some of the regional councils attract much larger slices of money than what other councils do. But anyway, that just happens to be
I think
the way it
what
works.
the Mayor's trying to say, those seats are the right colour with the current government of the day, get a better deal than the ones that aren't in there.
That may be right. But yes,
Yeah, a question about the Brooklands Road.
yes.
Is they shifted the 80 kilometre sign out about 5 miles. And it's, you're dawdling along to 80 kilometres, it's a straight road. The residents reckon it's not safe for them to get on the road, but if they can't get on that road safely, well, they can't drive around in Kingaroy very safely
Is that
either.
the one out past the netball courts and
Yes,
You're going out towards
past
Brooklands.
the cemetery?
Appin Street west onwards.
The biggest problem
Would that
is,
be council?
people coming out of their driveways, they don't look, they just drive straight out in front of you.
Yeah.
It happens a lot of places other than the Brooklands Road, but it's happened to me several times. And if you've got someone coming the other way, you're in big trouble. You go right up the back end of them.
The other problem with it is I can see in the future it's getting that rough. If you go along that on a tractor with no springs on it, well, it just about throws you off the seat. Where you can get on other roads and it's really good, but it's got to have a major rehaul some days because, well, there's still a stump hole in the road from when I went to school. They put a new road up and they
That was only a few years ago, Bevan, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. 55 to be exact.
Well, they drive around a bit, do they?
So that's the Brooklyn,
Horse and buggy.
Nanango Brooklands Road, is it?
Yeah.
What's the road description?
Eppin Street West,
So
Eppin Street
Appin.
West,
Yeah, right. Yep.
directly straight out, Brooklands Road, Nanango Brooklands Road.
Yep.
How I know, I live in Eppin Street West. I went for a drive yesterday afternoon. That's the way I go to rescue wildlife at Bunya Mountains. And that's the
Yep.
way I went.
Yep.
It's the easiest.
Okay, well, we can add that to the list of roads for, yeah.
That's what I'm just saying, I'm not,
Yeah.
it's gonna take a while for us to get there. We just need your patience, and like I say, if we haven't covered some ground in the next 2 years, and I know that you say, oh Jesus, we've got to wait another 2 years, we haven't seen a grader for 3, but we've come in as, like I say, it's a new council and we've done everything we possibly can. We prioritise rural roads in particular, and we really want to make a difference in that particular area in the next couple of years. So certainly we've got a list of roads right through the Shire that as long as your arm, trust me, it's going to take a while. We're going to have to prioritise them obviously and work through them, but hopefully we can please everybody in a couple of years.
Just as a matter of interest, roads attract the largest number of complaints that we receive at any given time, and that's closely followed by animal complaints. Now, these details were presented to the last council meeting. Now, I don't know exactly what animals are specifically being referred to, other than that a large majority of them would be, no doubt, dogs and cats, and also animals that are on roads and, escape from properties and those sorts of things. So, the large number of requests or complaints that come to us in council throughout a year simply means that, our residents within the region they walk around with their eyes open. If they see something that they don't believe is correct and right, well, they let council know. Now, that really has to be applauded. In fact, I've heard our engineering team say that they don't discourage that type of information coming to them by way of roads. People who are travelling roads all the time, have a better opportunity observing the condition of some of the roads than council staff who may not be, driving those roads as frequently as what the people or the residents within the area. So the point I want to make is that if you have issues pertaining to roads, don't be shy about letting us know, because once it's in the system, it can be properly assessed and then determined how it's going to be attended to.
Just going to Spud's portfolio there, he has 6 graders at his disposal, and 4 just got a non-stop doing roads this year, this next 2 years, reshooting gravel, reshooting things like that. So 4 will be working full time. With Keith was saying before, particularly some of the truck drivers are wonderful. They keep an eye on the roads too. There was a situation out on the Boyne River Road going up towards Chingshaw Highway the other day, and the truck driver comes in here every day, and there's a big washout over the other side of the long grass on the left-hand side of the bridge. And, a car could never see it, but he could see it, and he told us, and it was a major washout, only that was dropping down under it. Didn't go to the bitumen yet, but it could have been really dangerous, and we had it fixed in 48 hours.
Good. Yes, Barry?
Yeah, I've got a question regarding, I don't know, does the council still employ a health inspector?
Yes.
And so, how far is their, how far can they, what's the extent of their power or whatever, Because what I want to find out is about private dwellings. I believe some of them aren't fit for human habitation. And I believe that council, with their health inspector, should have the power to inspect these buildings and make a ruling for the landlords.
But Barry, they do have that power.
Well, I think it should be used. I think, because I meet some different groups of people, and I know some of these houses, some of these people don't have much money, they don't have much education, they don't know what their rights are. Landlords walking all over them, and I know one particular house that's full of mice and possums and rats, and you know, and the young girl has a hell of a problem. She doesn't, well, she just doesn't have an education, she doesn't know her rights, she doesn't have the ability to stand up for herself. And I believe that if there's a complaint made, can council come and make a ruling and say this place is not inhabitable, the landlord and say you must fix it. My daughter was renting a house and it had a floor in the laundry where it had a space like that underneath it. The whole laundry was rotten. There was a haven for snakes and whatever else wanted to go in there. I mean, that house shouldn't be allowed to be rented. That lady has a reputation of not ever rarely does she return bonds, and you know, I just think that, yeah, I'd like to think the council would try and have a look at the situation where houses are not fit for human habitation, that they be shut down until such stage as they are made fit.
Barry, we do that on a complaints basis, so we don't go looking for
I know.
But if someone puts in a complaint, there's a whole process. I mean, you know, like you investigate if you think they think it's a health issue. There's a show cause. There's a whole.
Three years ago, I did ring the council office here, and they said no, that's not within our jurisdiction or our.
I'd like to sort of do a bit more research on that one, because I've had complaints about houses that have got, you know, long grass within the borders of their fence, you know, property fence line, and it's not all that easy at times to get that tidied up, or even rubbish in the property boundaries. And I've had another situation that was acted on quite promptly, where the excrement of dogs, you know, people who had dogs, where the dogs were doing their business in the backyard and, you know, creating a foul smell, etc. That was acted on. But in relation to, I've jotted it down, and do you have a current complaint about a particular home?
Not actually, because I couldn't make a complaint without first getting permission from the particular person if she particularly wanted to go that way. She might, you know, but I believe that landlords have a duty to provide a dwelling that is safe, it's clean, it's tidy, it's not infested by vermin. I mean, that's should be their duty. If they're going to rent their properties, they should be correctly maintained.
Was it rented through a? Sorry,
does it go through a real estate agent, Barry? Because that's what they get paid for. They should inspect that house before anybody goes in there.
Yeah. The one I'm referring to at the moment, that I know of at the moment, is privately rented. Yeah. And another one that I know of was privately rented too. I mean, that was the information that the agent told me, that is their duty to make sure that the house is fit and proper for habitation.
So you're saying that before the people go in and start renting, the house is not up to standard before they go in? Yep, fair enough.
Well, the problem is with a lot of these people, and you can say all sorts of things about them, but for whatever reason they have problems, and it could be for whatever reason they don't have a lot of money, and they probably have a bad history in regards to paying their rent. I don't know that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, regardless of what their financial situation is, if they're I mean, they're people. They deserve to
The house should be
live in a
fair
house.
standard before they go in.
If money's being exchanged, they've got, that person that owns that house has got a call of duty for that person that's going in there.
Yes, well, I've got houses that I've rented. I mean, if there's a problem there, you know, I go there straight away, you know, I mean, or I have the appropriate people go there and take care of the situation. But unfortunately, there's a lot of unscrupulous people in this world, and there seems to be, they're becoming more in number, and they don't have a conscience, you see. And,
that's right. Yep. Well, Barry, Terry, I think you wanted to say something.
I'll give you an example, Barry, how difficult it can be, what powers council does possess to do this. Back in 2005, I was the health portfolio then in council, and we had a situation of a lady who had a mental disorder called obsessive compulsive disorder, and she was a very keen gardener, and she was collecting waste scraps and things like that, and we knew her property was absolutely infested with, vermin and things like that. Now, she had mental health issues. Now, to actually get access to that house, we had to bring the police in, the EPA, the mental health institution, the ambulance bearers. We took, and two others. There were 14 people sitting around the table to plan this before we could actually enter into that property. We had to get access through the court to go in. When we did go in, it took 6 council men, big strong men, 6 trucks and a bobcat for 2 days to clean the house out of the yard. The house was from ceiling to floor with bins of bags of chicken bones and things like that. It was an appalling situation. Now the situation was this group of people were also 4 years in arrears with their rates, and council ended up taking the house up, selling the house, recruited their rates, took out the cost of cleaning this place up, and also, which is one of the most important things, you have to try to be able to preserve that person's dignity through the whole process because of the mental health issues. So it's a very tentative way you've got to go about. It's got to be really well planned. The opportunity for litigation against council and any workers is enormous. So it has to be handled well. She was also, when loading the thing, we had police there to take her away because she was wanting to throw herself into one of the bobcat to get into the thing to stop her doing it. So
I've actually seen a house similar to what you're talking about when someone actually died in the real estate, and the real estate's his friend, was a neighbour of mine at the time, took me and showed me. I mean, I know exactly the situation you're talking about, but my situation is different. I'm talking about a landlord
absolutely.
has a house, not in a fit state of repair, human habitation, and they're blatantly saying, well, you want to get into a house, and what they do is they get them to sign a form from Centrelink to say that the rent is going to be paid to them, so they're going to get the rent every week. And when they move out, they say, well, you didn't give me the correct notice, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, we didn't do something else, so you're not getting your bond back, see you later, shithead. And then some other poor little bugger comes in there that's in the same situation, that doesn't have any money. And
What I'll do, what I'll do is I'll find out some information for you, and when we're done here, I'll get your number so I can give you a call, so I'll find out as much information as I can about what we're able to do, so you can then forward that information on to the relevant person.
Okay. Well, Danita will follow that up. Yes, Grant?
You're right.
No.
Oh, sorry. Spoke.
Bevan, was it? Yeah. Nanango Brooklands Road is in the program for the next 12 months to 2 years for prep work for resealing. Right? So that's all I can tell you. Don't hold me to it. It's in the budget. It's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere.
It's in there, yeah. It's in the budget.
We've seen
It's in
it.
there to do Nanango Brooklands Road, prep work and resealing.
He's electioneering already for the next elections, Andy.
No, I just want the road fixed up like everyone else.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Grant, did you have a question, or are we going to go to this?
Okay.
Ladies first.
What are you going?
Signs.
Yeah, no.
Oh, sorry. Okay. On roads.
Yep.
Last council meeting, there was mention of the council having discussions with NHVR, and there's been 5 applications for heavy vehicle access throughout the Shire.
Yeah.
What roads were they getting to access?
Councillor Duff is the expert on NHVR.
So what was I missed the last part of the question.
You're asking about which roads are you speaking about?
There was mention of 5 applications in the last month or so from NHVR with applications for heavy vehicle access to roads within the Shire. Which roads were they trying to gain access to?
Did they
For heavy vehicle access.
through council?
Well, that was mentioned in your minutes at the meeting.
Well, I don't know which roads they were. Councillor Jones would have that in your report. I don't know of any that we...
That was in my report, but
I could recall.
Was it in
remember
your-
something
your
coming up, but I don't know which report it was.
there was 5 applications, but I don't think anything had been processed or anything like that. They'd only just been received or something.
We can check them out, but on which roads, but I'm certainly trying to get more information and trying to get working on the through with the regulators to try and get upgrades to our roads, to particularly our state roads, so we can get transport in and out of our region, because we can't get road trains along the Geelong-Chinchilla Road, which is one of the reasons why Carsburg's Johansson's left.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, all those things, so yeah, but I'm just not 100%
The,
sure.
the Maidenwell Bunya Mountains Road, which Spud would be well aware of, has been a contentious issue for years with B doubles going up to a feedlot. Now it was come to attention that it was bypassed through state, because it's a state-owned road,
Yep.
and they bypassed that actual government department and went through the NHVR to get a permit issued for
Yeah.
7 kilometres.
Yeah.
That permit has been revoked and taken back by the TMR. They said it's cancelled.
Got to go through the process.
What if
They were banned for years and years and years, so someone's managed to bypass that system to get a permit through. My question being, our local roads,
Yep.
with all the condition they're in, there seems to be a little spate of trying to access with more heavy vehicles throughout the Shire on our back roads that aren't even capable of handling cars regularly at the moment. Future upgrades, yes, but I'm more concerned about, are these vehicles going to be allowed access via our Shire roads more easily than the Queensland state government roads or federal?
No, I don't believe so, because
Well,
they're all going along that. This is the guidelines are the same guidelines for local roads as they are for state control roads. And though our guys, our engineers are very risk adverse. Yeah, they're not going to make it easier.
So that's all I'm after, is a bit of an assurance that council isn't going to fold
I
and
think-
allow these trucks throughout the areas that they shouldn't be. That's all I'm asking.
There is a lot of work to be done
Yes.
in relation to this NHVR. Nothing is absolutely resolved at this point in time. There is a heavy vehicle, not a seminar,
It's a day where we're going to travel to Bundaberg actually to have a look at. It's a display, a demonstration of all the different new
vehicle
vehicles,
types.
and because there's some talk that some of the newer model B doubles and road trains are actually safer than double deckers on the roads currently.
No question whether they're safer, but it's just the wear and tear on the road. These roads aren't designed for those vehicles.
In our recent traffic advisory meeting, this did come up. We were speaking about access to some roads, and there were some people were making accusation that B doubles were illegally travelling along some of the insecure roads, things like that.
Got photographic evidence of that.
That is correct.
And if we're aware of that, the police are only too willing to
It's a police issue.
put in the cameras, surveillance cameras.
Police can't do anything unless you get a number plate or
That's exactly what I'm
exact
saying,
side of the
yeah.
truck. We've got photographs of the truck with no details that they require.
That's exactly right.
The Cumbria Brooklands Road was one of them.
Can I finish this?
Sorry, go on.
Thank you.
I was asked a
The
question.
police were quite willing to put in the special cameras they do have to be able to get the licence number plate and things like that if we are aware of this situation happening.
Right.
Yeah. But what you're saying about wear and tear on a road, there is argument both ways, because if you have a double decker or you can have a road train or a B double, there's only one vehicle travelling the road rather than two, and the weight, apparently the newer vehicles, the weight load is actually better on the road, the distribution, so there's all that sort of thing that they're looking at. But certainly, dollars is what we want to actually fix up a lot of our roads so they are more suitable for heavier vehicles.
So
And-
what,
The roads, two that I can tell you now is the Brooklands Pimp and Budgie Road. They're taking the B doubles down that road, which is shocking.
what's on that? Cattle?
Cattle and grain. And you've got your Cumbria Brooklands Road, which is that one that's got that section of single lane bitumen road with a drop off the edge of it about that size for a few kilometres, which is on the cars to be done. But that's a road there is nowhere to move off. The truck's single whether or not. It's a dangerous road. Now,
So where are they running to?
probably Naroomba. We've got no, well, they've been seen there, but whether that, the diatomite mine is another issue, which I was going to do with roads, about the application for closing the section.
Been knocked on there.
Well, they've been running single semi-trailers with low loaders and heavy equipment, that's fine, but still going down that road. which is, as you're aware of, you've travelled it,
Yeah.
there's nowhere to move.
Yeah. Well, the Narumba feedlot, I would be interested, like, as far as I'm aware, the road you're talking about now, they haven't got access or never had a permit to run B doubles on there.
No.
But they have, and I've seen the permit that they've had permission to run from in on the top of the Kuya Range in past the pub and up to the Narumba feedlot. And that's the one you're talking about now that's been revoked and going through the process.
That was
now.
given to one contractor apparently, not to the actual feedlot, from what I understand.
It's in council and I think it was pretty right. I think it covered any B double coming into the feedlot.
Well, different from them, but yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well, I was
check
talking
on
to
that again.
TMR today, and they've assured me again through NHVR that they've rejected that from the 7K particularly that run in from their road. They have to leave them up the top.
They haven't rejected it as such. They've got to go through the process again to justify whatever. They've got to just virtually do the whole process again. So whether or not
So it's not current at the moment.
I don't know. All I know is it said, you're saying it's revoked. I haven't heard that it's been revoked. I heard that they, because the people up there rang me, and they said that they had to go through the whole process again to, that they were trying to revoke the permit is what the guys that own the feedlot said to them. They were trying to revoke it. So I don't know, other than that, I can't, that's only what I've been told. So, but as far as me allowing B doubles and that running up there illegally, I saw the permit and I wasn't allowed to run up there illegally. They had the permit and showed me, and they've got permission.
They've been running up there before the permit, but that's neither here nor there. That before council.
No, sorry, no.
You're right? Okay.
Years ago, when Paul started their B double milk tanker, there was people around that jumped up and down and tried to stop it, but when they read the books on the wheel spacings of those B doubles, they didn't have a triaxle on the back, they only had a bogey.
Okay, yep.
And that let them go.
Yep.
And that takes up just as much room as what a B double coming into the feedlot does.
Milkers.
They can go all right on that one with an extra axle and a few cows on the back. He's got to sort of be knocked back.
Yep.
So we've got a diagonal highway all the way from here to Kilcoy. There's nothing but a stream of urine and cow feces. That's not a problem that happens in New South Wales or Victoria. I don't know that it's a problem that happens elsewhere in Queensland either, but it's certainly a problem that happens. I mean, you want to try doing it on a motorcycle and see how you go. No, it's fair. Your eyes don't start watering until you get the other side of Kilcoy. You can't breathe. You get black butt ranges, and this is when they're coming back empty. How can a truck that's just dropped off its load of cattle is there no washout facility there?
You know? There should be, yeah.
Well, I mean, the evidence is all over the road. The road out the front there is brown, heavily brown, and it fades less so this way, but I mean, it's
Canary's the worst
Okay.
place for that.
Now,
They go up the street at Canary.
Just keeping an eye on the clock,
Yeah,
yes. This lady in the front, yep.
Can I take away from all the roads and that? I'd like to talk about the signs up at Gibb Street, corner of Gibb Street and Drayton. The big silver welcome signs.
Oh, with Nanango on them.
Yes, they're actually very dangerous on that corner. Can they be shifted further out of town? It's a very dangerous corner. You can't see the traffic because of all the angle parking now, and coming up to that the medical centre, coming down from Gibbs down, you cannot see the traffic. So they have put them out, and it's very dangerous.
I think we could accept that as a customer request.
Yep.
Danita, given that this is your, Roz,
Yeah.
given that this is your division, would you like to,
Yeah,
would you be
talk to
able to
James.
give Danita, Roz, your name and contact telephone
Yeah.
numbers, etc. And then it will be logged into the system and checked out for you. Okay.
I actually had a problem there coming down tonight, so I came that way tonight. I thought I had myself trained to come down to Fitzroy Street and then come through the roundabout, because that is definitely dangerous there. When you come through there of an afternoon, there's all those cars parked there, you can't see the cars coming up the street, and also that make it worse, they put a tree there, so when that grows up, it's going to be a lot worse.
Okay, we'll take one more question, then we'll let Kathy, Councillor Duff, finish off with her presentation. Yep.
So I'm guessing this is an infrastructure question, but there's surveillance cameras in the Glendon Street toilets in the ladies, where you can sit in the toilet cubicle and actually see the surveillance camera. You can actually go to the shower cubicles and you can actually see those surveillance cameras.
You can see them,
And
yeah.
before it was upgraded, myself and my partner actually did go in and report that and ask if they could be removed, because it was something that I personally feel is inappropriate. I don't know who watches those cameras and what the purpose of those cameras are, but in the refurbishment they were not removed. And I personally feel as though that's totally inappropriate to be having Big Brother watching you on the loo while you're doing the poo.
Yeah,
I
well,
was actually
Well said.
Well done.
Well said.
I was under the impression that those cameras were actually only, they weren't a 360-degree one, they were actually a single vision and they were only aimed towards the basins.
So why have they got them?
Yeah,
Well,
why are they on the inside?
They're there for vandalism.
yeah. Look,
Because
I
there's
think
been too much
it's a question of concern. I have had somebody else make a similar request. I was given to understand that they do not capture the vision of people.
So after watching the Four Corners program the other day, where we saw some footage that is totally inappropriate,
Yeah.
I just have no trust in.
Can you give us your details so that it can be lodged as a request and information given back to you?
Just following that up, Keith.
It'd be far better if those cameras cannot just be you can't see where that camera is pointing at.
So, but
Are
if
you
you
happy?
could see where it was pointing, you'd be happy. I mean, as long as it wasn't pointing at someone on the toilet. But if you could see that it was only pointing towards the basins, you'd be okay with that? Because, as I said, they're there for vandalism issues. So would you be okay if you could see that they were only strictly pointed towards that area?
So my experience is that most of the time the vandalism actually happens in a toilet cubicle anyway. But I don't think I've ever seen vandalism happen at hand basins.
Well, look, let's check it out. Let's check it out first. Get the details, and then we can get back to you. Hey.
You just mentioned us in the tents.
They are.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh, it's usually just us.
And the police have said
All
that's
right.
not their matter and that's
Okay. Now, look, I'm going to ask Councillor Duff to give us her comments. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm Kathy Duff. I live on the far northwest boundary of the region, so I'm about an hour and a half away from here. I represent the area that is Proston, Heisel, Mergen to the sports ground at Wandai, so that area. I've lived in the South Bend all of my life. We've got a big cattle station. I understand all the rural issues. I drive all the rural roads, and so I'm fully supportive of what Council's doing as far as the money going towards roads. But the other take-home message from the election, I think, was communication, lack of communication. And that's part of why we're doing what we're doing here tonight, is to get out and about and to provide feedback and hear what you have to say as well. Because I think over I've been a councillor in, first of all, Wandai Council, and now in the Amalgamated Council, and I think communication is something that we really need to improve on. It's a challenge because we're a regional council, and it's hard to get out and about and to actually get feedback, the correct feedback, and to make sure that we're listening, which is the idea of this, to listen to your concerns. And I'm really pleased that we're here tonight to address, at least to hear what you have to say, and we're going to go right around the whole region doing that, and I think we plan to do that a few more times, or if this doesn't work, we'll do it a different way. But it's good that you've come out here tonight. My portfolio is natural resource management, Parks, Gardens, Indigenous Affairs. That takes in the sale yards, the Coolangatta sale yards are included in that. We've got 2 dams, Lake Bunduma and Bioki Pearson Dam. All the cemeteries under my portfolio, the airports at Wandai and Kingaroy. Also the rail trails, Brisbane, our share of the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail, and also the new one that we're doing, which is from Kingaroy through to Mergen in our section of the Shire, and then that one goes right through to Kilkeevan. So we're working on that right now. And that's a huge project, so that's pretty much what my portfolio covers. And I'm not going to talk for very long, but I'd just like, if anyone would like to ask any questions about any of that particular area of council.
Yeah, the cost of the rail trail, the grant that you received, is that going to cover the cost of building the rail trail?
The grant was 2 million, and it's Kingaroy to Kilkeevan, so we got 1.4 to do our section, and the rest of the 600,000 went to the Gympie Regional Council to do their piece from the boundary of Mergen right through to Kilkeevan. So they're going to make their end just for horses and like just a gravel surface, but we've got enough money to just do a bitumen surface, and so the money that we have received is going to be able to cover the cost of putting of the rail trail, like actually achieving a bitumen surface from Kingaroy right through to Mergen, and we'll have chicanes and all the safety stuff that we need, and appropriate signage. So yes, the money is going to just cover that corridor.
Now, there was the lady next door.
It beat me. I personally don't like waste, and I saw 4 men in the appropriate clothes putting in what looks like annuals outside the commercial pub in town. Someone my age could have done it without any help. I just think it's an absolute waste.
So that planting in the town, gardens.
Why are we planting annuals? Why aren't we putting in something that will be there for years and years and years? It just seems like a wicked waste to me.
The amount of labour that we see, because we live in this town, and the amount of labour we see on used on those gardens is just outrageous, costing an absolute fortune.
Okay, so that is good feedback. We can ask why they do that, because I know that in some cases, like the Parks and Gardens guys, they try to make the towns look really pretty and nice.
Sure.
And they also, I know that they even went to the trouble for this Anzac centenary to have the poppies, so they really try to get it right. And we do get a lot of compliments about what we do in the towns, but there is well, it's worth looking at if you'd rather see probably not so much pretty, but a bit more cost effective. And
yes.
So, I mean, that's certainly something we can look at.
Well, one
Not
thing you've
tall,
got to remember
not
is that
grown tall.
there's a lot of people that are hurting pretty bad financially, and the cost of our rates is not helping.
Yep.
And I mean, there's areas that can be looked at, and can be adjusted, and can be.
Just cut back a little bit. There's lots of beautiful plants that you put them in and you leave them for years. So there's putting them in and take them out 3 months later.
In Kingaroy Shire, we did a survey across the town. 8,000 people were surveyed of what their highest priorities were in Kingaroy Shire Council. And you know, the third one was keeping the gardens well maintained with flowers in them.
In the
Because in the garden. Because they are of the opinion that if travellers coming through town experience a well kept, well maintained, beautified community, they'll stop there. If they don't, they'll just keep going.
You've misconstrued what I said.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. I know
No.
exactly what you're saying. So
You can do it as pretty without the put it in and leave it for years. That sort of thing. Rather than petunias, for instance.
Ros has got a comment here.
The annuals that you're saying up and around the Nanango Gardens, they're being propagated up at the Nanango depot by the gardeners. So when these seeds fall off, they're collected and they're taken up there and they're sprouted again and replanted. And that.
Yeah.
And it takes 4 guys to do that?
Yeah. Look, I think you're making you know, the point that what you would prefer to see is, say, plants that are less
Labour intensive.
labour intensive.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
and that's a that's a point. I've made that as a comment, and there'll be others who'll have a different point of view, of course.
Sure.
But I mean,
But
you're entitled
Nanango
to.
people are really angry of the word that's branded around town is wastage, constant wastage. All that beautification stuff, you can't park. There's not enough disabled parking spots. Everybody's getting older. You know, there was a guy one Sunday morning with one of those blower thingamajiggles. He's blowing the leaves in the gutters under the metal grates where people walk onto the footpath. The next time we get some rain, the water can't get away because he's blocked the damn thing. And that's causing a problem, is it not, to the saddlery antique place on the corner, that 100-and-something-year-old building on the corner at the traffic light? Apparently the water is going under that building because it cannot get away.
So is it a council bloke doing that, or is it just a private shop?
I don't know.
It was
He
a
saw me
weekend,
looking at him and he went a bit sheepish. I thought, no, Sunday rates.
Yeah, I
He's doing it on Sunday.
I doubt that.
With a blower, he'd get up, take it away.
Yeah,
Because
it wouldn't
he
be-
was out of sight. That's what a kid would do, out of sight, out of mind.
Tell me, what was he wearing? A council uniform?
Yeah, well, everybody wears the same sort of,
Yeah.
you know, to its own job.
Yeah.
See?
No, if it was a Sunday, I mean, I know they all wear the same sort of gear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to distinguish.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been a council bloke because they don't
So
work.
do we have contractors for that?
No, not on a Sunday. Not on a
2
Sunday.
weeks ago, it was on a Sunday, and there was a bloke coming down the main street there on the side of the street with a blowing dust off the footpath, and I would assume that he was probably getting paid for it. I don't know why else he would do it,
Not on a Sunday.
unless he was just blowing off in front of his shop.
When you, let me say this to you, when you see those incidences occur, okay, if it was a Sunday, you could not have phoned the council office, except if you phoned the after-hours emergency and it wasn't an emergency.
No.
But please ring the council office the next day, and that can be clarified as to whether or not it was a council worker or whether it was somebody else doing doing that work.
We used to have 2 guys with a ute and 44-gallon drums. They used to sweep and they'd put in the 44-gallon drums and take it away. This is some years ago now. And since they've gone, we've got more trees in. I guess there's more leaves. I know it's easy to do it on Sunday when there's not so much traffic, but it's making a big problem for the shops with the blocked drains and all the rest of it, and doing half a job. And I'm thinking, Sunday rates, is that double time or time and a half?
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah, well,
But I just
when
think-
you next see that occurring on a Sunday, or should you see it occurring on a Sunday again, make sure you contact the council office straight away on the Monday and just have it clarified as to whether or not it was a council worker or whether it was just somebody independent.
Had I had someone with me, I would have gone over and said, do you work for the council?
Yeah,
But
well,
I'm
I
on
mean,
mine.
that would have been another way.
Feel
Come on.
free to ring me too, because I'm in this division. So if you do see it on a Sunday, don't hesitate to ring me, and I will personally go down there and find out who he is and who he works for.
Okay,
Yeah.
terrific, thank you.
Can I,
Yep.
and just in comment to that, I totally agree with you. Blackbutt years ago used to have Peter Bygraves and another bloke that used to help him, and the Blackbutt place never looked any better than what it did back. That was back before amalgamation.
Yep.
I've got to have a little bit of a chat with our mayor and deputy and whatever else in the county. I would really like to see, just for my division, 2 blokes permanently employed and based in Blackbutt doing exactly that, because I still think there's a massive saving. And just in regards to your wastage and all that, if you have a look through the budget, we've had a really good look at it. Our CEO and everything, we're trying to get rid of some vehicles. The vehicle usage and the amount of vehicles we had was a major concern for me and everyone else, and we've actually cut back on our fleet, and we're still trying to do that. So we do take that on board. We are trying to stop the wastage. We were aware of that, and that was a concern for the general public. So we are addressing that as well. So good job.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Perhaps wouldn't hurt to do a review on what's happened during the course of the streetscape thing first. you know, the parking has become quite ridiculous in the main street. I mean, I don't even attempt to buy a newspaper anymore because, I mean, you just can't. If you drive down there at 9 o'clock in the morning, my experience is you can't park anywhere, and I'm not prepared to park up the other side of Fleming's or up the other side of the hardware shop and go and buy a paper, so I don't bother, you know. And the parking in front of the hardware shop is outrageous. I mean, it's just non-existent. And I said to the owner of that business there, and I said, I said, they haven't helped much with regards to parking. He said, well, I've done everything I can to get something done about it, but and I don't know who he's contacting, but
We have addressed that,
have you?
and you don't get the full story on Good Motorist, Steve, but there's 5 car parks around the back of that shop. 6 car parks around the back of that shop that's been taken up by extensions. He did have provisions for 6 car parks at the back of his
Well, it was
shop.
only a couple of weeks ago he said to me, he said that he's done everything possible to do something about it. Well, I don't know what does he mean, and does he not have a problem, or does he? I don't know.
He does.
He has got an issue with the car parking.
He created a bit of his own problem, unfortunately.
He has
So
got
have the
an issue
customers.
at the
If you,
front.
someone said to me, if you were to buy a lawnmower, you know, it comes in a box about like this. If you can't park at the door, you're not going to bother to buy one there. You'll go to Kingroy where you can put it straight in on the ute or whatever you do with it.
But
haven't bought one.
it's not stopping anyone.
You know, you can't bring anything heavy at it. The guys used to put stuff in your car, bags of dirt, right? They would put in the car for me. You can't park there anymore. It's just ridiculous. To get to the doctor 2 doors up, that's dangerous too. And there are people going in and out of there who are incapacitated in some fashion, and you've made it very, very dangerous for them. It's just, it's a shame. The other thing that's happening here, the retirement home, they have a bus that they take the residents out on once a fortnight or whatever for a change of scenery. They can't park in town. They take them to Kingaroy. They're not even using the own town they're living in. This is all money going out of the town. It's like coffin nail.
Unload the people.
No,
Nowhere for the bus.
Yeah.
Is that right?
No.
the little bus, the retirement bus. They can't park safely here anymore for the old people. So they take them to Kingaroy.
Well, that's an issue that we need to address.
Yeah.
Nowhere for the bus to park.
Not that's safe. They're all infirmed. You need safety first. If you park in this town, nose in, and you get out of your car and you're 5'2" like I am, you basically fall in a hole because there's such a. The road is like that.
And
You're
that-
like on
that
a
was
bridge,
from
on the
state.
top of the bridge, as you get out. And the gutter is that deep. It's dangerous the way it's been done.
Yeah, this lady here first, Lionel.
So Barry's just said, is there going to be a review about the streetscaping?
Well, it certainly hasn't appeared on the agenda at this point of time. I know that there was quite a bit of comment made about the streetscaping in Nanango at the time when it was happened. It was largely driven by people who are no longer with us in council. We were informed, that there was communication or consultation occurring, with the business people in Nanango. I believe I'm reporting it correctly.
Select business people, not everybody.
Well, that's well, if that was the case, that is regrettable. I mean, part of the reason why under this council we want to come out and talk with people. Now, we've arrived here tonight without any specific agenda, other than, our specific agenda is to come and have a chat, and we're doing this right across the region. I'd like to think that, this approach by this council is sufficiently appreciated, so that we will feel that, somewhat encouraged to come back and do it again at some time. Now, we're not going to sit on your doorstep, every other month or two, but we will come out. I'm thinking, subject to what my fellow councillors think, probably during the early part of next year when we're in,
Not
early.
through winter, Keith.
Not through window.
No, no,
it is.
not-
I'm
not
sure
through
there
window.
are heaters in here somewhere. If we're, I knew where the
February,
switch
March,
was.
once a
But
year.
you know, quite happy to quite happy to come and quite happy to come out and have a chat. I take it that you guys are not particularly happy about what's happened streetscape wise.
No, bring back all the old parking.
Yeah.
It solved all the problems.
And to reverse what has happened, again is going to be a
Mammoth task.
considerable,
Lots of money, yeah.
considerable amount of money. And what we've been trying to do within the South Bennett Regional Council is to allocate a proportion of attention to the different towns and villages throughout the South Burnett region. Now, work has been done. Some work has been done in Mergen, some work has been done in Wandai, some work has been done in Blackburn. Probably more work than most has been done in Nanango, but it's not happily accepted by some people. The comments that I get back about the streetscaping in Nanango is that it basically looks, very lovely.
But not practical.
It isn't practical. It
yeah.
isn't.
And well, that's a point I'm prepared to listen to, and feed it into the system. But I would say don't hold your breath for anything to happen really quickly, because to reverse what's been done is going to be an enormous amount of money, and there are other towns and villages within the region that are in a very shabby state. At least Nanango is looking very, very attractive as a consequence of what happened. But it's a point I'm prepared to list for further consideration by us within council. But as I say, in all honesty, I couldn't say to you that, yep, we'll rip in there with dozers and bobcats and all that sort of thing and spin it around. And Councillor Froloff, made a comment here. I know there's some of you, Lenny Bockman, who could do that quite happily, get out with your dozer and your bobcats and all that sort of stuff. But
I've been asked to do it.
you've been asked to do it, yeah.
There was a rumour.
Yeah, but it probably, that's the streetscaping exercise, because Drayton Street is a main road, would have had to have been done in consultation with not so much in consultation, it would have been by way of direction, I should imagine, by Transport and Main Road. So, it's not all just, council's fault that what was done, because Transport and Main Roads have a much larger say in a lot of the road constructions within the region than most people would give credit for.
I think what you're trying to say, Keith, is there's no hope at all of a review. There won't be a review.
No.
There won't be any works undertaken or anything like that. Unfortunately, it's
Well, I think
why
it's
it
very
is.
very established council at the time. The 7 councillors imposed their view on the population of Nanango. There was 400 people signed a petition to say that they don't want the bloody thing, and that was gathered in a very short period of time. If I'd walked the town, I'd have got close on 4,000 signatures, but I didn't have time. I had to go and do a bit of work.
Anyway, look, I take the point.
Very much appreciated.
I take the point that I take the point that you're not happy. Yes, Lenny?
But
Oh, look, now we'll start. Here we go. We'll be at 10 o'clock now.
I've got a question for the panel. I want to get out of Drayton Street. I want to go out to the Lions Park. Now, there's a strip of bitumen put there, right by the
No, across the end here.
dump point.
Yeah.
Now, what is it there for? Is it for caravans on their way through with the car sets, or is it for parking for the powerhouse people or something? Because I've seen it full, and the caravan's way over here, and then people are carting their car sets over to the dump point. Yeah.
So, sorry, where is it? I'm just not familiar with
Yeah,
it.
Tipperary flat.
Tipperary flat.
Tipperary flat, is it?
Yeah.
Tipperary flat.
Yeah.
Yep.
There. Near the
the dump point near
BP
BP's over.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
right.
in the park there.
And it's, and it's blocked off, did you say, by...
By all other park traffic.
There's a lot of
Strong
semi-
power workers use the car park there. Well, whoever.
Okay, they leave their cars there, do they?
And the caravans can't get there.
Right, okay.
Richmond strip there, and they should be able to park in.
Well, surely that's something that we
I
ought to be
think
able to
there
take,
should be signs put up.
control of.
Yeah, to talk to those guys.
Now, Councillor Ros is making a note of it. Lenny, that's, take that one on board. Yes.
There's semis and all that sort of stuff. Through
Yeah.
traffic pull up a lot there.
Yep.
Along that, where the little,
Yeah.
where the peanut, in front of peanut van and all that, there was new drainage and that put in there
Yes, that's right. There was
end of last year and all that, and whatever the problem was. And,
Yep.
yeah, so that's what they use. It's all been sealed. It used to be dirt, now it's all sealed. And,
Yep.
so
Okay.
with the caravans, they can't go in off the road, Lenny. They can't get in that park at all. You're just talking about someone driving through that wants to empty their stuff, travelling through. Yeah.
That's what it's designed for, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Put
I
in the
guess
wrong
so.
place.
The whole idea would be to try and keep them in town. We're looking at other avenues. I think
Yeah.
Councillor Froelich might be able to elaborate a bit. It's her area, but I think she's trying to get more vans and that to sort of stop overnight and help the local businesses and all that and get them further into town. So,
Yeah.
Showground's got a couple.
yeah.
They do. They do.
I want to go back to the streetscape.
Yes, righto.
As a small business owner who is based on Drayton Street, is registered with the council, has done everything possible to communicate with council about the impact that that streetscape had on our business, we were totally ignored. We were never ever given any updates. We had gone down to the office on a regular basis requesting for us to be able to get an email, get it sent by pigeon courier. We even put in a pigeon courier little box so that we could actually receive that mail. We were ignored left, right and centre. Our business had to relocate because we cannot practically work because of the streetscape and the changes that were made. Our business got totally ignored. We could not get any correspondence, and 3 weeks before the streetscape, I actually found out that there was one person who actually sends out those emails, and I had to write to her every fortnight and ask her if she could flick me the last email or the last update, and only after I did that I finally actually got updates. And then I got no more after that to tell me that there were no updates following or that the streetscape was finished, which it hadn't been. And yeah, I just would like to know what the council learned from the streetscape saga in Nanango, because I just don't think that any other community, and you know there's a whole pile of other issues, but I don't think as a community, any other community in South Burnett Regional Council should have ever experienced that.
Right. Okay, now Councillor Jones is going
I'm happy to talk about that in regards to the fact we weren't, or me, myself personally and 2 or 3 others on the council now, weren't on that council that had control, but I can tell you that I personally have learned a fair bit from it, and that's, as Councillor Duff said, we're doing these to get out into the general public, get the communication happening, because we have made a commitment as a new council to be more open. I hate this word transparent. It gets overused, but I want to be open, upfront and honest. All right, that's what we're committed to, and we're travelling around, and trust me, as a new council, we have gone through a number of issues. Exactly what you're just saying about lack of communication and all that sort of stuff, and no community consultation. And I tell you what, it's been very good for me personally, and I'm sure these 2 guys sitting beside me and all the rest of it, it has really put us in good stead moving forward, for the simple fact that we know that we've got to listen to you guys elected us, for Christ's sake. We're working for you. I'm under no disillusion that, you know, I'm here to represent my people in Division 2 firstly, but I want to make sure the rest of the Shire becomes a better place as well. And what you have just said, we have taken on board quite unanimously right across, moving forward, and Mayor Campbell suggested these listening to us, and I think they're going to be a real bonus for us moving forward. There might only be 10 or 12 here tonight. We will be coming back, and I guarantee you we'll have a lot more here next time we come around. So I totally agree with what you said, and as a council moving forward, we're quite prepared to listen to the community and more consultation.
I must say I appreciate what you're doing, and I wish this had happened 2 years ago. I was told by Damien Testman that there was ample consultation, he said there were meetings in Nanango. I said, can you tell me where those meetings were held? Can you tell me who chaired the meeting and on what date? He can't because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You see?
Well,
it should have happened,
yeah.
and we might not have ended up with what we've bloody well got now. We might have ended up with something a lot better.
I think,
And the anger,
I was told by-
that's here about it, that's
Yeah.
what's.
I was told by
the
business
current.
owners that they were invited to a meeting. I rang up to be invited to that meeting and I was told, I'm sorry, you're not able to go to that. It'll be better for the mayor to meet up with you personally and have a one-to-one. Well, that mayor and his office made 4 appointments with us, which they all stood up us on.
That they stood you up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they told me,
they
said you can't come. There's not enough room. I said, big meeting, is it? I said, no, it's only a little room.
Yeah. All righty. Well, look, Councillor Jones has said exactly the way I, as the mayor, want to lead this next 4 years. I see our primary responsibility as being a responsibility to you guys as the ratepayers. We will talk. We won't always agree on certain things, but we can work things out in a very civil type of way. You know, running the business of council is it's around about a 50-odd million budget. There are occasions when we need to make decisions that are in the best interest for the whole of the council budget, whatever you want to say. But our primary responsibility is, as Councillor Jones says, you elected us, and it's our responsibility to try and make the South Burnett region a place that you can enjoy living in, that you can be happy about, that when there are visitors, be they tourists, whether they be people who come and stay in hotels, motels, for functions within your town or any other town within the region, that they get a good vibe about the town that they've come to visit. Because word of mouth is a very important, it's a very important method of being able to communicate. If people come to Nanango and they leave the place feeling happy that it's a nice town, etc., that does you more good than if people coming into the area who find an unhappy state of affairs. So, you guys as our ratepayers, you're our primary responsible. We also want to look after, the visitors and the tourists who come into the place. Tourism is a big business and one that's going to serve us, really well into the future. And the other factor that this council will keep a good close eye on is the issue of economic development. Now, I know that there are probably some people around who think that, why should we grow the place? Why should it get any bigger? We're happy enough with the way that it is. Well, that's not the way of the world. We need to, continue to look forward, look to the future, look to the next generations that are going to, come in after us, and provide employment, provide industry. But those sorts of businesses, they are the ones who primarily make the decision as to whether or not they come. We have to make it feel sufficiently attractive for them to come and, invest their dollars, develop businesses that's going to, improve the overall status of the town in which we live.
Just very quickly,
Yes.
Nanango district up there at Tipperary Flats, the park.
Yes.
Is there any prospect of getting the roadways through that graded out and the potholes filled up? And can that all be sealed through, or is it just going to remain dirt?
Yeah.
That's an area, as you said, for the tourists they pull up there. Just it should be maintained better and can be looked
Is this
at.
on the edge of the road, is it?
The actual park area is
Going out towards Yarra.
Yeah,
past BP.
Yeah.
Just-
Can you make a note of that?
Whether they did like the showgrounds did on a thin layer of bitumen on the walkways, the driveways through there, or just
But actually,
Coat the
I was
road.
out there on Sunday with NAPTA, picking up rubbish and all that, and did notice it then. So I have spoken to one of the managers out in Nanango about it, seeing what we can do to fix that up, because it is quite rough. And
Kayleen got a hand up ahead of you this time. Kayleen.
Soap dispensers in the public toilets. I'd like to see that brought back.
Yes.
especially in Nanango.
Okay, now Councillor Jones is going to deal with that one.
Yep. It's been raised and I have addressed it, I've asked for it, and they say that it is an exorbitant cost to the ratepayers as far as, because if there's any vandalism, it seems to happen to the soap dispensers and the towel, the paper towel and all the rest of it, and that's the answer I got. That's all I can, I've already, people in Blackbuck, we've got that new toilet block down there, they haven't got soap or
No mirrors either.
or towels or anything like that in there, simply because they reckon that the amount of money, and these toilets just here somewhere out the front, probably
Yeah, I mean, you know, the paper towel never gets, you know, destructed or anything, and I'd really like to see the soap go back and try it. I mean, you know, the paper towels there, and it's never been vandalised.
I'll certainly take it back
So
to the...
And I'd just like to see it tried, because we're up, you know, you go to other places, everyone else has got to have it as a regulation, so I think the council should try it as well.
No, it's been brought up quite regularly through my travels anyway around the
And
people.
most of these places have got cameras and things now, well, you'll catch them.
Is there cameras in these toilets out the front of the offices here?
Yep.
There is? Well, I can't believe that some of the stuff that's going on in there, I know. Well, my wife went there the other day, went to the toilet, and there's a syringe inside the toilet roll. Like, what the hell? Well, what the hell? Like, it happens in Brisbane. It's happening out here too. You know, like kids go in there and they know better. You know, it's
That's right.
very minute chance of any disease getting contracted from a needle, unless you obviously pull it out and stick it in straight away. But it's happening out there. So if there's cameras there, what the hell's going on? Why are they filming or what?
One more question here.
So there's been quite a few issues raised tonight, and I was wanting to find out from all of you a time frame that we should expect issues that have been raised, and you're going to contact us and get details to contact us.
You need to come forward with your name, address, telephone number, and Council Frolloff will log them into the system. If you haven't, you know, if you don't feel as though that your query has been answered sufficiently within how long? A couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Two weeks or thereabouts. Don't hesitate to get back in touch with Councillor Frolloff. Okay.
That was what I was after, as a time frame.
So don't be afraid to do a follow-up if you don't get an answer to the query that you may want to lodge. Okay?
I still had one more.
Well, you can ask one more so long as the urn is hot, so that we can come to a nice hot cup of tea.
Well, it's simple. The stockpiles that they put out near the 60-kilometre sign on the right-hand side going out of town, put them on a back road somewhere. That's our entrance to Nanango from the Yarraman side. Don't use it as a dump point for putting stockpiles of aggregates or screens or something.
That's usually blue metal and that they dump there, isn't it?
Yeah, like it makes it look untidy, and then no one cleans it up, and it's
It sounds like a roads issue, Councillor.
Well, we can fix it pretty quick.
And plus then someone can mow all those trees that they went ahead and planted, so that we get back to what we had there, nice in that temporary
On the walkway.
to the bucket. That's just made up a real mess now, planning all that, like no one's maintaining it, at least it was always
I'm
kept
glad you
nice.
brought that. Can you tell me what the trees they are that they actually planted there? Are they just gum trees?
Well, I imagine so, but
3 different varieties from what I can tell.
I just hope
So
the right
you're going to have a walkway through gum trees and all the rest, you won't be... I couldn't believe it when I saw all those trees getting planted.
Yes, I've commented on that before.
We did the clearing. We got into a lot of trouble. Knocking those trees down. Then it was a beautiful park. The story was, the track shouldn't have went where it is now. I believe it's in the perfect place for people. The trees, when they were planted there, the story came back that was originally there, that we shouldn't have pushed the trees down. When the track went there, people were
are going to be hiding in there and chase the women.
Yeah.
What's going to happen now when they grow up?
Exactly what I was thinking along there before.
Another
You get mugged or bastard.
Yeah.
Take a bigger stick with you, Lenny.
Okay, folk, now look, we'd like to invite you to enjoy a cup of tea and coffee and some lovely food supplied by Ringsfield House. Is this true? Just a bicky, all right, well there you go. That's still lovely food.
Welcome to Nanango.
Thanks everybody for coming along. Thank you.
Thanks guys.